Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and today we are going to be watching. No. We're going to be reviewing episodes of 9 to 12 of Solo Leveling. So please like and subscribe if you're not. I'm Akainu Fanboy. The other guy is Geboss. And obviously we'll spoil you on these episodes. So, don't watch this if you didn't watch it. So, okay, basically, we are brought into the story of this great chap named Hang, who is basically a B-level hunter, and we're taking off last time where he's with those three convicts that he was escorting into this dungeon, and so basically they have a back and forth roughly about they were killing all these goblins, the convicts were, and they were saying this was nothing, they wanted to kill more essentially. And right before this, we have the two other gentlemen who betrayed Jin Woo in the episodes 1 and 2 by leaving them stranded and leaving Jin Woo stranded and everything like that too. And they said they want to apologize even though they think he won't accept it. And then these two gentlemen run into Kang, murdering the three convicts too. And we're given this flashback of the reason why Kang is doing it initially is because he's getting paid by the father, a father who had was it his daughter who was murdered and his wife was beaten into a coma? I believe so.
His daughter was assaulted, and then his wife, I think, committed suicide after.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. And so, what were your thoughts, I guess, on this revelation of Kang? So I guess, initially, your first thoughts, we see him just killing the convicts. What were your thoughts on that? And then your second thoughts on when he turned on the two teammates that weren't guilty.
Yeah. So, I kind of expected the convicts to be more of the focus of the conflict in this. They were gonna be the main obstacle. And I thought that that King was gonna just he was gonna take him out, and then it would be like a misunderstanding or something between the two other people. But yeah, I wasn't expecting his heel turn with basically saying I love killing people. Give me more killing people. It just seemed to come out of nowhere for me because he seemed kind of interesting. I thought there was going to be more to his character. Yeah. And when he took out the two other survivors, we got that whole scene last episode of I think it was Mr. Kim who had his whole family and with his daughter and everything. And I thought that he was gonna kind of survive and have more of a reconciliation with Jin Woo and maybe be an ally further along in the story, but he was just kind of cut off ceremoniously. Honestly, I didn't even remember the big guy was a survivor of that raid of that dungeon. In the first two episodes. But yeah, Kim, I expected to survive farther. Even when Juhi was healing him, I thought that maybe he was going to survive. But yeah, what about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought Mr. Kim was going to die because they showed his family, and then I wasn't expecting Kang to obviously be evil. I thought the convicts were going to get the upper hand on him, and the convicts were going to be the issue because they were expressing interest in Joe He, right? And they're going to have a whole plot on that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that obviously didn't happen. So I was kind of surprised on that. So it was good to undercut the expectations here. I didn't think Kang was going to go full evil. At first, I thought initially he was just going to be kind of partially kind of corrupt, where he just kills people for money and kind of does the right thing still, and maybe even killing those two guys. He's just kind of looking out of his own skin, but he still kind of has a good heart. And then we find out he's just a sociopath kind of thing. So, but I did like his fighting style a lot, though. I thought it was really good. I thought it was one of the more interesting fights because I think he was talented, and you do kind of get to see how strong he is with Johi and the swordsman right here. And so I thought that was like really like well done. You get to see his skill, and I just like his design and everything too. I thought it was really interesting, you know, and you get to see some good back and forth human fighting that's not, you know, just exclusively the Jinwoo show, basically, you know. So
yeah, I thought it was good. I will say, like we saw Mr. Song have like a bunch of trouble fighting Kang, and I was like, okay, like if this was a real situation, you saw someone like being Jinwoo in this situation, someone struggling this much, I would have stepped in sooner than he did.
Like, yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you see this guy who took out like these innocent hunters, and you don't team up with and try and take him down, because I don't think he would have stood a chance if Song and Jinwoo teamed up, especially if Song like used his magic, like that was his specialty.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I found interesting was like Song was even he's like a C rank hunter, and he was holding his own against the B rank Kang with one arm, and he was saying like, oh yeah, I've even trained like S rank hunters. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm glad that he survived this whole ordeal.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because they do even describe Kang later on as the cream of the crop of D ranks too. So he was like on the higher end of it, and again, I don't know how that works with power scaling and everything. But I did. So you got to see kind of more like not just like the rank, you know, a B versus S versus E versus C or whatever, but you get to see the combat aspect, and so I did like how we got to see that more. Also, like how much you could push skill and how that can make a difference in the fight and everything. But it was cool because it seemed like Jinwoo was sweating a little bit at times. You know, it was actually like a balanced fight at times, you know, and everything. So I kind of wish it was like better explained how the power dynamics work from humans that are ranked versus the monsters that are ranked, basically. You know, so could Kang take out that S ranked monster potentially? You know, that Jinwoo fought it. You know, Jinwoo fought and everything. You know, like Jujutsu Kaisen does kind of a really good job of giving a general parameter on how like what level sorcerer you are compared to what grade of curse you can kill. You know, here it's kind of more like contorted. You know.
Yeah, I think they explicitly said like, oh, they're basically even in terms of like speed and strength and everything. But I think that Kang probably wouldn't have, because Jinwoo just had hacks. Literally, like he had like the healing potions and everything, and the level ups that completely heal him. It's mainly the healing factor that is the big I think is the big decider, because we see like in this whole fight, like Kang, when Jinwoo healed, he was like, oh, who is this guy? He can heal on top of everything else. And just having that edge, I think, plus all like the passive buffs that he has, like the intimidation and everything, just really helped him. Just pushes in Jinwoo's favor.
Yeah, and I did find it interesting later on where, so we see him eventually like defeating him and everything, and Kang's superior, I'm blanking the blonde hair guy's name. He's at A rank, if I remember correctly. I'm blanking on his name, but what I found interesting was that Jinwoo said he couldn't defeat him, like couldn't stand a chance against him. You know, so.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, again, like, okay, so can he take down an S rank? You know, like it's just like kind of weird, you know, and everything. So I'm not sure how this how this works, I guess, you know. So but it was interesting how he kind of learned about Kang and everything, and you know, yeah. So just kind of moving on to, I mean, did you have any more thoughts on episode 9 right there?
I mean, it. Okay, so this will go into episode 10 too. So at the end, like Mr. Song like takes credit for killing Kang, but it looks like in the next episode, like at the very beginning, like Jinwoo's talking to, or maybe not at the very beginning, but like Jinwoo's talking to the A rank hunter, and he's talking about like the incident where he had to kill Dong-suk's strike team, where he teamed up with Jinho and everything, but and talking about the brother. But it seemed like in that conversation that he knew that, like, he knows like Jinwoo's power and that Jinwoo killed Kang. In that, did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
He says like, I don't believe an E rank like you could defeat a B rank.
Yeah. Just
So
kind of like
yeah,
giving off an impression that he's still ignorant, kind of thing, you know.
well, it seems like Jinwoo went back to tell that he did that or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed weird to me.
Right. And so, yeah, and so I thought that was kind of interesting, and it seems like they're going to develop him out more and more as a character as time goes on, which I think is cool. It was funny to see Jinwoo's new band of pals, if you will, pals, you know, where you get these very high tier hunters sitting around drinking soda, eating candy, and playing video games. So
yeah,
you know,
I actually kind of I like this episode, like I think more than I should have. It was just kind of laid back compared to everything else. But oh, there's before we get too far into that, there's the very first scene where Juhee tells Jinwoo that she's going to retire, which kind of surprised me too, because I thought she was going to go farther along in the story. Maybe she'll come back in some way, but I don't know, because we've seen her struggling with that, and I thought there was more of a plot line that could be tapped into, you know?
Yeah, and one little mini theory I'd have is that I think that S rank hunter that's, you know, exiled from Korea and everything, I could see him trying to kidnap her, you know, at some point. You know, I could see something like that happening, you know. Yeah. So that's one little theory. I know it's a little tired trope, but I think it's possible, you know. But it was funny to see this like scouter who was in charge, you know, we're trying to get the sea gates and everything, though.
Yeah.
I actually thought this was a little funny dynamic, and you get to see Jinwoo vicious, smart, wise, prudent in a way, you know, like really, I mean, sorry, like more clever, if you will. He has kind of like the street smarts, but then you get to see kind of the good side of him too, where he's like really intimidating, you know, with that diner scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But he isn't going to ultimately follow through with it. So is it kind of like a funny gag? Is this going to be like the red line for where his character goes with intimidation, or is this more indicative of a path that he's going to keep on going down this road, basically, and that he might become evil one day, you know?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I forgot to mention the most important thing from the last episode was there was a very specific line about where Jinwoo's like powering up. He's like, "That's another of my emotions gone. I don't need to get angry to kill filth like you." So like like we talked before about like Jinwoo going farther into like a dark personality type, and that's another aspect of it, like he necessarily doesn't even need anger anymore to kill people, you know, as long as he thinks that it's justified,
right?
I feel so I thought that was important, like an important thing to point out.
Right. Yeah, he's becoming more robotic video game character kind of thing. Kind of like an NPC in a way. And I just, because you see him getting more jaded and getting more dark and, callous. And I think the Kang thing too kind of further solidified it. Just like hunters are supposed to be kind of at least like peacekeepers and stuff. And then you just see the corrupt one who's just as evil, as some of the monsters they're killing. And I think he's just getting more jaded with this kind of stuff, So, yeah, I'm tending to incline more and more that he's getting darker the more as he powers up as time goes on.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we'll talk about the final episode when we get there, but
yeah, right. And then so we get to the reconnaissance mission with the island, the dark continent-esque island we saw in the first episode and everything. Did you want to talk about this part at all?
I mean, it's kind of spanned over the next couple episodes. But yeah, we see that a strike force going to the island, I guess, to do recon. I guess this is the third time they've gone there to see any developments. But I mean, it's something that's going on in the background right now, but I was curious about it because I thought potentially that some of the stuff that Jinwoo was facing was gonna like tie into that island specifically.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the case because I think this is going into episode 11. But when the team was flying in their helicopter, they noticed something in the ocean, and I thought it was gonna be something because it was linked directly, I think, when Jinwoo was doing something in his job change portal. So I thought that there was some connection that was going to be made there, but it didn't turn out to be anything.
Yeah, right. So do you want to move into 11 on the job change topic?
Yeah, episode 10, it's not, I wouldn't call it a filler episode, but it's kind of more lighthearted more than anything. I guess the only other thing that I would say was as part of the group going just kind of lazing around is Jinwoo's sister's classmate, who we kind of saw a couple times before in earlier episodes. So I think she might end up becoming some sort of a character later on. But yeah, nothing too much else.
Yeah, and so basically we see, we have like a quick little dinner meeting between Jinho and his father, and they're discussing the gates just very briefly. You get to see the money that he comes from and everything, but they don't really get into too much detail for the most part. They're just kind of briefly discussing things. And when you kind of move into, and then we just basically from here on out just get into the job change episode, and I thought it was cool. I like the design of the dungeon and everything, and so obviously when you get to the necromancy reveal in the final episode with the job change, a lot of these monsters make a lot more sense looking back at it, instead of it just be a random mob of monsters and everything like that. So I thought that was interesting. That was cool. And I think I did kind of enjoy that fight for the most part. You did see a bit of a challenge, and I think he says this is his most challenging dungeon too, especially when he starts fighting the knight who's guarding the empty throne.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like the knights guarding the empty throne, and my thought immediately was like, okay, whose throne is it that he's guarding?
Yeah.
Who is this? Who is this? I thought it was going to be maybe like we see later on in the fight, like Jinwoo gets thrown onto the throne, and I thought something was going to come of that. like it was gonna overwrite the because I don't know if it's Igris the knight, if Igris has like any consciousness, you know, to think, or if it's more like an automaton type thing. But yeah, I thought maybe like if Jinwoo was sitting in the throne, that it was gonna like overwrite and its programming and not be able to attack him or something. But but no, it was a cool battle.
It was that, like the animation, some of the shots,
yeah. Although I kind of thought that it was weird that again, going into like RPG stuff, it's like, oh, only right before this battle I noticed that I could equip armor. It's like, dude. Dude, you should be getting all this stuff.
Yeah, at this point, you know, you're a hardcore gamer, you know, you're pretty sweaty.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, and I'd say that was, enjoyed the fight, thought it was cool. And he says he barely beats him by luck, which I thought was interesting, you know? Also, I mean, look, this is kind of a consistent criticism I've had. Why can't he just take an L, I guess? You know, why can't he, like, lose? You know, like, I know he's introduced as a loser, but as we in a lot of other great, you know, series, the main character takes losses, and it's really great when they take losses, and I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's... I wouldn't say, like, it's not that he's not struggling in these fights. But...
Yeah.
I mean, compare it to... like, we love One Piece. When was the first time that, like, Luffy actually lost? I would say probably, like, Logtown with Smoker. Like, he got, like, basically captured at that point. And Dragon did the only useful thing he's ever done in the whole series. But,
that's true. But I would say he was helpless with Mihawk in the Zoro situation, you know, at the Baratier, you know?
I mean, he wasn't necessarily fighting him.
Defeated. Yeah. But there was, like, a helplessness that I don't really get with Jinwoo, you know, right?
Well...
And it was, like, there's a recognition that there's something greater here, you know, that, like, you have to climb up to. So this might get into a little bit of a rant to, like, connected when he turns to necromancy. So since the power level isn't super fleshed out here, I'm not really getting that dopamine hit, like, whoa, he changed the class, or whoa, like, whenever he gets an upgrade, I know what that upgrade is. The upgrade doesn't really mean anything unless it's, like, referencing another level he just superseded, or, like, the goals, like, you know. So that's why I think it's really good to have a fleshed out power system, because you can appreciate the levels more. But when you level up, it's like, oh, that's cool, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
you know, in a way, right?
Well, also, like, he gets the job changed to Necromancer, and then he immediately levels up to Shadow Monarch. And it's like,
look, what the hell is that? Like, I don't know what's the first level, you know?
He killed so many people that he just skipped over the Necromancer thing. But yeah, it
like
seems
using cheat codes in a video game, right? You know, you lose the thrill of leveling up in the challenge. You know, I guess, like, that's kind of my issue with it, you know?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that he didn't struggle, because even though he has all those hacks, like, when he didn't have them, because he fought Igris, and then he immediately got thrown into this whole gauntlet of knights and sorcerers and everything. If he wasn't rescued at that point, like, if he didn't have an opportunity to heal, then he wouldn't have been able to win that. So I guess from my perspective, I can see him struggling a bit more, but I guess this does come off more of a power fantasy more than other shows, you know.
Yeah, because, like, even with, like, the A-rank thing, the A-rank hunter I was referencing, he's like, oh, I want to stand a chance against him. Well, show us that. Don't tell us that. You know what I mean? Like, they could have easily had that S rank creature. Remember, you and I were kind of critiquing, like, oh, he's already killing S rank creatures, and it's been like,
Like
I
6
don't know what,
episodes or
like,
something.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right. And then that's like a Luffy taking out a vice admiral in episode 6.
Yeah.
You're just like way too quick, and um, so that's kind of like my issue. Is like, okay, so why not just have the S rank creature defeat him and he barely gets out by the skin of his teeth? It's like, okay, cool. Now we see like he's not close to S rank, but now we can like rejoice in that so much more when he finally gets over an S rank, because like we see the challenge, like how hard that is. But so like when you have ignorance on the power system, and then also when you see him winning every single fight, and so Icarus is, how do you pronounce it again? The Red Knight. Yeah. So he says like he's stronger than me, but he beats him barely. And it's like, okay, why not just have him beat you if he's stronger than you? So that way we get like a better sense of like there's actually like a ladder for him to climb. You know what I mean? So
I guess it's because the whole thing with the dungeons is that you can't necessarily, these specific ones, you can't go back into them after you, if you if you try to leave. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess like kind of the issue with that is like, oh, so he has to win every single dungeon or else the show's over.
Yeah.
Right? And then it takes away the tension.
Yeah, I mean, there was like earlier on, he had to use or did he even use the teleportation stone to escape? Or does he still have that in his inventory?
That was with the S ranked dungeon because he just wanted to defeat the first monster, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Was I right about that, or he was trying to teleport out of here and then it got knocked out of his hand, and then he had to kind of tough it out and then fight out the rest of the mob. Yeah,
that was in episode 12, but I thought earlier he got one, and I think he might still have it, but anyway, like he could try and go up against something and use it when he looks like he's gonna lose, and it's more of like a dramatic thing, like for him to like say like, oh, I need to train more, I need to take on lower level stuff to take this on. Because I mean at this point he's just kind of brute forcing his way through everything. And I don't know if that's a commentary because he specifically said that he's not leveling up his intellect. he's kind of unga-bungaing his way through everything. So,
yeah, but I just kind of wish like they would show like, oh, what are the negative costs of not leveling up your intellect, Yeah. And I think like kind of thing is like he's leveling up enough and none of his strength is like, oh, he's a necromancer, so like he should really struggle as a necromancer, and maybe they'll show that, right? Because he's only been leveling up strength, but then as soon as he becomes a necromancer, he's the Shadow Monarch, and I'm like, okay, all right, like it would have been one thing, like maybe the first 12 episodes he's chilling as like this warrior guy, and then as soon as he becomes a necromancer, he's just getting his ass kicked. That's pretty cool, but it just seems like no, he's just kicking ass at that too, and it's like, okay,
yeah. I will say that I looked up approximately how far we are in the series, and I think we're about a quarter of the way through. So, yeah, there's definitely more that can be expanded on in terms of story and lore and everything. But I mean, just kind of we were talking about like the whole necromancer thing. I mean, necromancy is usually considered like an evil power, like raising the dead and using them for your own means.
Yeah.
And Shadow Monarch is not the most good guy title you can have. So, I guess this can lead into like potentially what I'm thinking is that he's going to be able to raise whoever he's defeated in battle, like strong opponents, like potentially if he had the power, he could have raised Kang at that point. And it would be interesting to see if like in the future, maybe even like Jin-Ho dies, and he like it affects him, and he basically raises him up from the dead to try
or his sister or his mom.
Yeah. In like some sort of twisted way of keeping them around. Which could potentially lead into like more darker implications for the character.
Yeah, right.
But besides that, if you didn't tell me that this was the last I think this is the last episode of the season, right?
That's what I was told, yeah. From reliable sources.
Yeah, I would not have thought that this was the last episode of the season. It just kind of ends with him with his new powers, and there's no kind of wrap up to it, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a weird place to do a season finale. There are a lot of episodes. Really enjoyed, I'd say, the first 2 episodes. The episode where he gets betrayed by the humans, the human hunting party, and then the episodes with Kang were my favorite. I would give these first 12 episodes like a C, though. Just in terms of, I know that may sound harsh to people. I know a lot of people like this. I'm not trying to be a hater, but I've expressed my negative critiques with this. And I think in some ways my criticisms have just been more vindicated, I think, in some ways, rather than disproven. They can still be disproven. I want them to be disproven because I want to enjoy the show more. But I wasn't hyped like some people were reviewing this. I was just pretty okay with the fights. You know, like the fights I like the most, like I said, were with Kang and him fighting the other humans, because I thought there was more of a tension and more going on rather than him just butts and smashing the whole time, you know? So
yeah,
but that's just kind of my position there.
Yeah. I probably give it about the same grade. I think my favorite episode, like I said, was probably episode 10, where they were just kind of like everything happened off screen, and it was just the montage of all the them doing the C rank dungeons and the stuff with the guild master and everything. I don't know why. It was just kind of a more laid back episode.
Yeah.
Not everything has to have like big fights at the end of it.
Right.
But I mean, I am interested to see what happens in the future, though.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a trash series. I still have hope for it and everything. Just yeah. I mean, those are my takes on it, and there's nothing more I can really add on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so since we're still in the dark void, tri-weekly terribleness of the One Piece, we will try to get One Piece theory videos out soon, and we're going to be pushing out the content more at a more regular pace. And sorry if we've been delayed on some stuff, but you will be hearing from us again soon.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Please like and subscribe if you have not, guys. We will see you guys soon. Peace.
See ya.